Will there be an American Civil War? How to think about it, prepare for it, and stay resilient. A bonus Battlefield Radio post. By Battlefield Radio. Welcome back. It is not alarmism to ask the question, could the United States face a civil war-like breakdown? Yet the voices dominating YouTube and social media often go straight to apocalypse, secession, mass-armed conflict. Influencers say it will happen. Others say absolutely not. The louder message is, it will look nothing like what you expect. I am a U.S. Army veteran with a master's Homeland Security and Emergency Management. I have studied conflict, continuity, and civilian resilience. That means I get why this topic triggers strong reactions. But I also believe that survival depends on clarity, not panic. So we will examine what a U.S. civil conflict scenario could resemble, how likely it is, how it parallels historic cases such as the Troubles in Northern Ireland and the Bosnian War in the 1990s, and what informed preppers can do to face the possibility head-on. What do we mean by civil war-like conflict? When people say civil war, they often imagine armies facing each other across a battlefield. In modern terms, that is unlikely. A more plausible scenario is fragmentation, local conflicts, paramilitary groups, failed governance in pockets, insurgency rather than full-scale war. For example, the Troubles in Northern Ireland featured sustained violence between communities, police, paramilitaries, and state forces over decades, not a nationwide conventional war. The Bosnian War involved ethnic and territorial fragmentation, pockets of intense fighting, and the breakdown of central authority, not a classic interstate war. Applied to the US, the scenario might be that some states or regions begin to reject federal direction. Some law enforcement and National Guard units face divided loyalties, major cities or suburbs become contested zones, supply chains collapse, neighborhoods bunker down. Instead of giant battles, you might see many small fights, contested governance zones, and suspended services. Why the Trouble Bosnia analogies matter. The Troubles, Northern Ireland. From roughly 1968 to 1998, Northern Ireland saw sectarian violence between Catholic nationalists and Protestant Unionists, involved paramilitaries, the British Army, police forces, and bombings, shootings, curfews, disputed territory, and localized insurgency. A crucial lesson is that a conflict need not involve entire states to create societal breakdown. Many neighborhoods became hardened, self-reliant, suspicious of authorities, and cut off from normal governance for a generation. Bosnia, 1992 to 95. Following the breakup of Yugoslavia, Bosnia witnessed territorial fragmentation, siege towns, civilian enclaves under attack, competing armed groups, ethnic cleansing, and a fractured state apparatus. Governance broke down region by region. Control shifted frequently. Large-scale infrastructure collapsed. Many survivors recount months of living in enclaves with limited supply, irregular security, and no reliable government. These conflicts share several patterns. Devolution of authority from a central state to multiple actors. Local fragmentation and contested governance. Protracted violence, not brief shock events. Civilian survival turned on local networks, self-reliance, and skills. Infrastructure stress and supply chain breakdowns. When you hear talk of an American Civil War, these are more apt models than 1860s battlefields. How likely is it in the United States? Let's be clear, full nationwide collapse is not the most probable outcome. The US retains large government capacity, advanced logistics, dispersed wealth, and global partners. But lower-level fragmentation is within the realm of possibility. Consider these warning signs. Polarization. Social, political, and cultural divisions have increased in recent years. Deep mistrust between communities and institutions raises the chance of localized conflict. Economic stress, high debt, inflation, regional decline, job loss, economic distress drives social breakdown. Weakening local services, a police, fire, or health system under strain, retreating local governance, and inadequate trust open space for non-state actors. Regional clone of the state. If a region begins to see federal law enforcement, National Guard, or State Guard units as adversaries, a de facto secession dynamic emerges. Technology and social media, rapid spread of misinformation, alliances forming outside traditional governance, make local disintegration faster. I believe a civil conflict scenario with US characteristics has a moderate likelihood over the next decade if current trends accelerate. But it will not look like the Civil War of the 1860s. It will look like contested zones, perhaps some states rejecting federal directives, urban areas with repeated unrest, supply chain gaps, and long-term decline in certain regions. In short, don't prepare for full-scale army versus army. Prepare for messy, layered, chronic conflict. What preppers should do to face this head-on? If you accept the possibility of localized civil conflict, then preparedness shifts accordingly. Your job is to build resilience for disrupted governance, contested services, and protracted instability. Here's a breakdown. 1. Local networks are critical. In Bosnia and Northern Ireland, civilians survived in part because they formed local networks. Trust your neighbors. Build community skills. Barter relationships matter. A localized civil conflict scenario means federal support may not reach you early. Ground zero is your block. 2. Supply chains will fracture. Expect delayed food deliveries, fuel scarcity, medical supply disruptions. Stock at least 4 weeks of food and water. Rotate supplies. For a city scenario, 6 months is ideal. Learn how to source locally, trades, gardens, local farms. 3. Security and situational awareness. Conflict zones mean contested streets, checkpoints, civil militia overlap. Know your escape routes. Keep low profile. Avoid running your prep group like a survival theater. Instead, integrate into your neighborhood quietly. Know where safe rooms are. Have situational awareness tools, two-way radios, offline maps, local signage. 4. Communications redundancy. Local conflict means cell networks, internet, and utility power may fail or be shut down. Maintain hand-crank radios, satellite communications, analogous offline systems. Have physical contact lists. Meet points if digital goes dark. 5. Mobility and shelter flexibility. In an urban fringe or suburban or war zone, you may need to relocate quickly. Have backpacks packed, no foot and bike routes. Have arrangements for safe lodging if worst comes. Long-term stay in one place may increase risk. 6. Psychological resilience. Conflict is long. Not the event then done. Northern Ireland lasted decades. Bosnia lasted years. Prepare to endure ambiguity, disrupted routines, reduced services, constant stress. Anchors matter, community rhythms, meaningful roles, purpose. Build mental armor. 7. Financial and legal resilience. Economic collapse often accompanies civil breakdown. Keep some cash. Diversify holdings. Understand your legal rights in local jurisdictions if governance fragments. Document your property, home, supplies. 8. Scenario-specific kits. The kit you build for a nuclear detonation is different from one for civil conflict. 4. Conflict prep. Civilian medical trauma supplies, not just basic first aid. Movement kit, bag with clothes, gear, food. Communications kit offline. Identity document backup. Home fortification but legal and discreet. Case studies and lessons you can apply. Northern Ireland, the Troubles. A citizen in Belfast or Derry during the 1970s would see roadblocks, armed patrols, local neighborhoods divided, sectarian paramilitary groups operating, and police or army presence shifting loyalty and tactics. Civilians learned to build local trust, have safe rooms in homes, keep essentials close at hand. Peace took decades. The lesson: prepare for longevity. Bosnia, 1992 to 1995. In Sarajevo's siege you faced shelling, limited food and fuel, checkpoints, local warlords, abandoned services, media collapse. Residents used kitchens as shelters, gardens for food, relied on local militia systems and informal networks. The lesson: build in alternatives to centralized systems. By drawing on these parallels, you can avoid the Hollywood version of civil war and build realistic resilience. Where common prepper claims fall short. Claim: it will happen next week. Probably not. Claim: it will look like two armies fighting. Unlikely. Claim: your bunker will save you. Maybe, but more important is relational, organizational, local resilience. When influencers talk about entire states leaving the Union, and National Guard battles city by city, they appeal to fear and spectacle. Real conflict is quieter, more local, slower, but still disruptive. Having a bunker doesn't matter if your neighborhood collapses and you are isolated. Instead, you need community, mobility, adaptable supplies, and communication. Final thoughts: how to posture yourself. Assume your local government may still function but under stress. Assume services may degrade for weeks or months. Assume local conflict may force you to stay put, evacuate, or relocate. Focus on building-led resilience: supply, community, mobility, comms, psychology. Avoid chasing each viral prediction. Instead, build for overlapping hazards: civil breakdown, natural disasters, economic collapse. The same kit often serves multiple scenarios. Your job as a prepper is not to win a war. Your job is to survive when the system doesn't work. When power fails, roads are blocked, communication silenced, and trust melts. Build for the long game. Build quietly. Build locally. Build with others. Final broadcast. Yes, civil conflict is a possibility, but it is not inevitable. And it will not look like a textbook war. It will look like contested zones, fractured systems, local shutdowns, and interrupted normality. Prepare not for spectacle, but for reality. Build not for days, but for months. Connect locally. Stay agile. Maintain your supply lines. Establish your community. Keep your mind clear. Preparedness is not paranoia. It is the antidote to panic. Battlefield Radio, where awareness meets action.